Whether it's your first time here or you're a regular here at Mr. Super Oz, I just want to thank you for tuning in to the channel. It exists because I, Oz, from the channel Mr. Super Oz, I wrote a 68-page graphic novel called Everlasting Survivors. Volume 1 is called All Day Long. If you follow the link in the description of this video, you can get yourself hats, shirts, posters, all kinds of fun things. But most importantly, you can get the story itself. And the more people that pick up the story, the greater the chances are that there can be continued adventures with these heroes. If you could, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment, enjoy. One of the things I've been doing here recently, whether it be with Jupiter's Legacy, Resident Alien, and I had said I would do it with iZombie, and I still will, just not this time, was from page to screen, where I talk about things that begin in comic book form and then grow into television shows. But with the, I'll say, semi-recent news of the Power Rangers comic book cancellation, I thought, why not take that idea, turn it on its head, and do, for the first time ever, from screen to page, where we collectively talk about Power Rangers, which started out as a Saturday morning, not cartoon, but, a
Saturday morning, kids-friendly television.
Absolutely. And then evolved, years later, into the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic book series, yes, from Boom Studios, that I have collected in hardcover deluxe hardcover form. I actually first started buying issues because Brandon recommended it, and then after I enjoyed it, I said, well, here, you just have these, and I'm going to start getting these deluxe hardcovers because I think they're beautiful on the shelf.
Oh, yeah. They are, 100%.
But
first thing I admire every time I walk into this room.
So the beauty of the comic series is it is so complementary towards the thing that we all grew up. Well, we grew up in the You Watch Later.
I kind of grew up. I was like the tail end of the 90s.
Well, so I will say this.
I had different Power Rangers, but still.
Everybody can still grow up watching Power Rangers, because I have this friend who has a comic convention that he runs. Well, multiple, actually.
Yeah.
But it all started by accident. So he was actually doing reptile shows, but he rented this building that wouldn't let him bring snakes in. He's like, snakes, that's my bread and butter.
My gimmick.
Yeah, it's like, how do you think I met Jake the Snake Roberts? Like, I'm on a reptile show. And so they said, well, you can't bring those in here, so whatever you want to do, it ain't that. And so his son had just recently started getting into Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on DVD. And so his son, who was young at the time, was like, oh, I'd love to meet the Power Rangers. And so this is what leads to the first ever Lexington Comic and Toy Show, or no, it wasn't a show, convention, there we go.
There it is.
And because Jared wanted to make his son, Jaron, happy, no, that's a different son. Anyway, whatever.
One of his kids.
Yeah, one of his kids, he was like, oh man, you know what? Yeah, I can't do a reptile show, but I can invite some Power Rangers, and he
became... say it's morphin' time.
Yeah, it's morphin' time, exactly. And he was like, oh, we can not just invite Power Rangers, but it's people like comics. It's a work, and it did. So for I think 11 or 12 years now, he's run the Lexington Comic and Toy Convention, and he's actually expanded into like Owensboro Comic and Toy Convention, and then Huntington Comic and Toy. Anyway, point is, people like Power Rangers, you don't have to have actually grown up with them to enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Jason David Frank at that comic convention, not the first one, but a few years down the line, because I was a big fan of the Green Ranger. He wasn't my first favorite. I initially related to Billy because I wore glasses, and I was like, I see the pain. I feel your pain there, buddy. And then I know, at least personally, I wanted to be Jason because the leader, the top guy, the one everybody looks toward. And then when when Tommy shows up and he's the cool kid, it's like, who doesn't want to be?
He does want to be the coolest kid on the block.
Of course, yeah.
Exactly.
You know who I related to?
Tell me about it.
Is it the same person I related to?
Just guess.
I'm gonna say that you related to Jason because you were the top guy.
No, I thought you were gonna say it's Zach.
Yeah.
Okay, well, did you like Zach?
Yeah, I related to Zach.
Yeah, I mean, I love
related
Zach.
to
But do you know why?
Because of his movie star good looks, obviously.
I don't know.
Because he was black. What is the truth? I just thought you were gonna go like, yeah. I was a kid and he
Of course, yeah.
I'm about to say a Power Ranger that looks like me. That's
Right.
really cool.
Yeah.
The Black Ranger was always the.
Yeah.
Especially because as like the Power Ranger series go on, like not a lot of the newer ones have a lot of like some are gay, some are Asian, some are little. Like Marty Morphin was the only one though, of the original ones that wasn't just all white people.
Mm-hmm.
Like it had black people, it had an Asian Power Ranger, which was ironic because technically Power Rangers is originally Japanese.
Yes.
But
All Asian all the time.
all Asian all the time. But so it was cool, especially because Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was the first one I ever watched,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like, oh, I love these guys so much, and I still like the other ones, but I always had a special connection to Mighty Morphin, especially because of Zach.
Yeah, I loved Mighty Morphin because it was the first one that I ever saw, obviously.
Of
But
course.
I thought Zeo just had a nice flair to it,
Yeah,
and
they did have dope costumes.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
but I dropped out before we got to Turbo. It brought in that kid.
Yeah. Oh my God! I
And
forgot
I was
about
like,
that.
yeah, I'm alright. I don't
Yeah.
need this.
Yeah, that kid who was like, all right, let me just double in size every time I morph. I'm like,
Yeah.
so wait, he's an adult now? Like, if he takes his helmet off,
He
he's
says
straight.
Shazam.
Yeah, pretty much he
Yeah.
says
Yeah,
Shazam.
basically, yeah, that was pretty much it. Yeah.
Without the magical powers. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think-
thankfully I never saw him show up in the comics because that's what this is about. Is how the Boom Studios comics have paid such loving tribute to the show, because as we all know from being comic book fans, there's something that, yes, occasionally you can get in movies or TV, which is the inner dialogue, but you almost always get the inner dialogue on a comic because it's a reading
Thought
medium.
bubbles.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so within the Boom Studio comics, you get to relate to each character in a more in-depth way, which I'm just a big fan of.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that the comic did was to solve a problem that, while I understand as an adult why they did it, it always bothered me as a young person when Zach, Trini, and Jason are whisked away to a peace summit and they were replaced. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't as if I didn't like the people that came in. I thought Rocky and Adam and Aisha were cool, but they just weren't the people that I...
It was different. They weren't the people you grew up with.
Exactly. And so I was confused by it, and I didn't understand. Now as an adult, I get it. Yeah, everybody wanted a raise and some appreciation, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, yeah.
Yeah, we don't do that here.
Yeah. Well, I made you.
About to say,
But
don't worry, we'll work just fine without you. See ya.
Yep.
so in the comic, they tell the same lie. I say it as if that in the show it was a lie too, but they tell the same story, but with a different conclusion or reasoning behind it. Because in the comic series, the reason Jason, Trini, and Zach lie to their friends and say that they're going to this peace summit thing is because, due to the events of a massive dimensional magnitude, Jason understands that pieces of the shattered grid are remnants of it are still here, and they have to go out due to this emissary telling him that you got to fix your own mistakes, kids. And so he originally was going to do it by himself.
Right,
But
because that's
then-
what a leader does.
Yeah, exactly. He was willing to take this hard times on himself. But Zach and Trini don't want him to suffer alone. They volunteer to help him,
Like
and
the good friends they
all become, as I jokingly call it, promoted Space Rangers, but they're called Omega Rangers in this telling, and it's just so much better than just never seeing them again.
They went to a peace conference and then just vanished off the face of the earth. Apparently.
Yeah, instead of
To maintain peace.
Periodically coming back as the Gold Ranger
Yes.
and back in Turbo sort of, and yeah, it's
Popping in and out
Yeah.
here and there.
yeah.
Well, and
Forever Red.
and what it does
Classics.
with the comic series is when it's found out that they're lying, because they keep up the ruse for quite some time, because another fun aspect of the Boom Studios comic is that they have modern technology, so they can FaceTime and they can use cell phones and that type of thing. So when finally the ruse gets found out that they aren't
Where they said they were.
and that they're actually still being Power Rangers, like, guys, you realize we're Power Rangers too. Like, you could have just freaking told us.
I'm about to say, we would have understood. You didn't have to.
And eventually they do understand. They all work together, and I think it actually adds to the dynamic of Rocky, Adam, and Aisha, because not only do they feel like they are lessers because they're the secondaries to the original team, but now they're having to work side by side with the originals who are in a new powered state, or a powered up state.
Basically, they're so much better than them.
And so it's just interesting. And Jason even gives Rocky a speech in the comic about how that you're not less than me. You're the best there is, and such. And it just shows that even when he's not leading this team, Jason's still a firm leader.
You're right, because in real life, I like the behind the story, because they didn't know how the actor, is it Jason David Frank, and who's the Red Ranger?
Austin St. John.
Yeah, Austin St. John.
Yeah.
They didn't know how he was gonna take being jumped over.
Yeah.
But to his credit, he handled it very
Respectfully
and well. Yeah, very professionally.
Absolutely.
Where, you were the star of this hit kids TV show, and then basically now you're just gonna be second in command.
Yep.
But I like what the comic book series is like. No, he's still a
He's
leader,
still the guy.
just somewhere else. And I was
Absolutely.
like that. That's very touching.
Well, I think that it actually helps Tommy take over leadership when Jason rises above to that new role.
Mm-hmm.
Just like any other job, like somebody above you leaves and like, okay, you get a promotion. You
Yep.
gotta now step into that role and fill those shoes and do the best you can.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, so I know this is a weird phraseology or concept to talk about, but I actually love that the Boom Studios Power Rangers comics are ending, because I love a beginning, a middle, and an end. And not just do I like that it's ending, but I like that they announced and gave the creators the possibility to wrap it all up.
Yeah.
Because anytime that something... Oh, this reminds me of... Did you ever watch Young Sheldon?
No, but I think I know what you're about to say.
Okay.
But
I know you have, because you're the reason I watched
Mhm.
it. Anytime that something is given the heads up that this is the end date or the time of the conclusion, and then they have the ability to prepare, I just think that's the right. And so I'm glad that Power Rangers is getting that, and not one of these, surprise, we're not putting out the next issue, you're done, go home, quit.
Pat on your back, appreciate your hard work, get out of here.
Yeah, don't call me, I'll call you type thing.
Don't let the door hit you with a good little
Create your
split
own
shoe.
ending, guys. That's what the best part. It's like, no, I like ending.
Like, I
Because,
want to
like-
know what y'all were thinking.
Yeah.
Because literally, Young Sheldon, have you watched the finale?
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my god.
I've actually seen the finale.
Oh my goodness. So it has echoes of the pilot. It's so well executed.
Mhm.
And so I hope and believe, even more than hope, that Power Rangers will, with given the knowledge of when it's ending, I believe and that they will do right by the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I think the ending of, well, not the turning them into children and bringing Aqua Rangers in, but destroying the command center, I think, is the right ending of the
Yeah.
the
Feels
series.
final.
Yeah. But yeah, no, for anybody who hasn't read Boom Studios' Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comics, I definitely think that it's a series worth reading.
Agreed.
The Go-Go Power Rangers prequel was fun, and it was actually interesting because it was almost a pre-known what we're doing story. It was before Tommy got in there with the, what was it called, Green with Envy storyline, and so yeah, no, it was just so many hits when it came to this run that I think that it's definitely worth checking out.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Thank you for recommending it, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm about to say thank you for recommending me being on this video. Thanks
Sure.
for telling them about it so we can make this video.
Yeah, and this is how simple I am. The reason why, even those comic books stood out to me, is because I like the covers.
The
That-
covers
yeah,
are
dude.
so good.
They did great work on
Yeah,
that.
Oh,
I was like, wow. When I saw
Art
that,
is gorgeous.
I have to, even if
Yes.
it's bad. And I was like, wow, this is.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is quality.
So anybody making a comic book, remember, covers are very important.
Yeah, it's a true story.
Yes.
People do judge books by their cover.
Yeah, yeah. Even though you're told not to,
Yeah.
people do.
Yep. They're like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you guys.
Oh, 100%, man. Thanks for having us. See you
Later.
guys.